This is the Jetta SEL, and out of all the cars that I've ever owned, this one's my favorite. You got a lot of tech and a lot of amenities for not that much, and not to mention, it's a pretty good looking car too. So if you're looking into leasing your next vehicle, and if you want to get the best bang for your buck, then I highly recommend you check out the new Jetta. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this is the Jetta SEL, which has an MSRP of $24,695. Now, there are lesser trim Jettas that start off at a little under $19K, but if you want to get the best bang for your buck, then I highly recommend you go with the SEL trim. With the SEL trim, you get key features like keyless entry, push to start, automatic climate control, heated seats, and blind spot monitoring. All key features that you really miss when you don't have them anymore. But the SEL trim also gets you extra upgrades like the LED headlights, which I think look great, and they do a really good job of tying the front end of this car together quite nicely. But you also get better looking rims, and you also get automatic rain sensing windshield wipers. But more importantly, the SEL trim also gets you the virtual cockpit, which is super useful for when you're using the automatic cruise control in this car, which I'll talk about in a bit. But you also get an 8-inch touchscreen, which is an upgrade from the 6.5-inch touchscreen found on lesser trim Jettas. Now, this touchscreen is compatible with both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And thanks to it being angled towards the driver and it being very responsive, using this touchscreen is actually very easy. It doesn't take a second and a half to register an input like on some older or even some more expensive cars. Now, thanks to this larger screen, you also get a better look of your backup camera. Now, the backup camera on this car definitely gets the job done, but it could be better image quality wise. Now, when it comes to the interior design of this car, the angularity from the outside has made its way onto the inside. And personally, I really like how it looks. Everything is laid out very well, and the overall build quality and finish of this interior is very impressive for a $25,000 car. Now, the SEL trim comes included with leatherette seats, but if you want real leather seats, then you're going to have to spring for the SEL Premium. Now, under the hood, this Jetta comes equipped with a 1.4-liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder engine, making 147 horsepower and 184 pound-foot of torque, and it's mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. And all of that power is routed to the front wheels of this car. Now, if you want a little bit more power, there's also the Jetta GLI, which has a 2-liter engine, making 228 horsepower. Now, when it comes to fuel economy, this guy is rated at 30 miles per gallon in the city and 40 miles per gallon on the highway. But with the way that I drive, I usually average about 27 miles per gallon. And to fully tank this guy up, this guy takes about 35 bucks regular. Now, when it comes to actually driving this car, obviously I was a little concerned because it was only making 147 horsepower, and I was also concerned about how it would drive when it was fully loaded with people. But thankfully, since you get a lot of torque on the low end of this car does a really good job of giving you power as soon as you ask for it. So if you're merging onto the highway, as soon as you press on the gas, this car is going to start accelerating and is going to pull fairly aggressively all the way up to around 50 or 60 miles per hour. So thanks to all of that low end torque, this car doesn't feel all that sluggish or weak. But since this car is front-wheel drive, and since it does have a lot of torque on the low end, this car really likes to lose traction if you're like at a stoplight and you're going to make a left or right turn, and if you accelerate a little too hard, you're going to feel the front wheels just skidding by. But all in all, even though this car only has 147 horsepower, it's still fairly responsive. But the biggest reason why I love this car so much is because of the automatic cruise control and lane keep assistance. Whenever I get on the highway, I just turn automatic cruise control on and the car just does most of the driving. And thanks to the virtual cockpit, I can easily tell what the car sees. I can tell the car how fast I want it to go, and the car is going to automatically brake and accelerate depending on the traffic ahead of you. And the automatic cruise control in this car works all the way up to 90 miles per hour. So whether you have a long commute ahead of you or if you're stuck in slow-moving traffic, the automatic cruise control in this car can make your commute a little less tedious. And thanks to the automatic cruise control in this car, I've noticed that I'm less of a hurry to get to places now. Since the cruise control in this car does most of the tedious braking and accelerating, I don't really mind if traffic is a little slower than usual ahead of me. So since driving is a little more passive with this car, I can just sit back and listen to my podcast. Now, obviously, it did take some time and some experimenting to understand the capabilities and limitations of the automatic cruise control in this car. And it also took some time to actually learn to trust it. Now, under no circumstances is this an autonomous car, and you should still be paying attention when you're driving this car. Now, personally, I wouldn't use the automatic cruise control in this car when in stop-and-go traffic because you might get seasick, and I also wouldn't use it in city driving. And the lane keep assist on this car only works when you're going over 40 miles per hour on properly marked roads, and the bend can't be too harsh. So you definitely want to keep your hands on the steering wheel. And besides, if the car detects that if you don't have your hands on the steering wheel for a certain amount of time, usually around 15 seconds, it's gonna ask you to take over driving. But another reason why I really like this car so much is because its collision avoidance systems have already saved me a few times. The first time was when I was driving and the person in front of me suddenly stopped and the car automatically applied the brakes before I fully knew what was going on. Now, this car also has rear collision avoidance, and a few times already it's automatically applied brakes while I was backing out of a spot and there was a car rolling by. So I really do think that this car saved me from a pretty bad forward collision, and the rear collisions, saved me from a few headaches. So overall, I really enjoy driving this car. Now, no, it's not particularly sporty, but it's also not sluggish compared to other cars in this price segment. But like I mentioned earlier, the automatic cruise control in this car really does most of the work for you when you're driving on the highway. And for when you're driving in the city, the collision avoidance systems on this car can really come in clutch. But when it comes to the overall comfort of this car, that's another story. I can go on a 1 or 2 hour drive in this car without any problems, but once we start to hit the 3 or 4 hour mark, that's when I start to notice some lower back pain afterwards. The seats in this car are well cushioned and they definitely get the job done, but they're not as ergonomic or as adjustable compared to more premium cars. But since I rarely go on 3 or 4 hour drives in this car, it's fine. But this car can comfortably seat 4 people. The brochure says 5, but realistically it's more like 4. But for when you are on those long road trips, this car comes equipped with a Beats audio sound system. And just as you'd expect from any other Beats product, the subwoofer on this car really likes to kick. So you're not going to have to go to Best Buy and get an aftermarket one. But other than that, the sound system in this car sounds decent enough as well. Now, even though this is a fairly small car, you do get a 14 cubic foot trunk, which I've had no issues with storing 2 large checked bags for when I'm going to the airport. But if you do need more room, you can always just collapse the rear seats like this and get yourself a little bit extra room. So overall, as a complete package, I feel that you get a lot of bang for your buck with the Jetta SEL. And over the last 9 months that I've had this car, I've really enjoyed it. I've had 0 maintenance issues with this car, and I've started to notice a lot more of them hitting the road lately. I think it's a great looking car, but more importantly, you get a lot of tech. Thanks to Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, you don't got to worry about your infotainment system getting outdated. And thanks to all of the driver assistance features on this car, driving this car is a little easier on you and a little safer. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit that like button and get subscribed. It helps out more than you realize. If you want to pick any of the products up mentioned in this video, those will be linked in the description down below, and you can also support the channel by checking out the merch store. But other than that, I'll catch you next time.